So your track with Devansh. So how does it represent your growth as an artist?
Step forward, I'd say, because I hadn't tried anything like that before, and it's honestly something that fell into my lap, if I'm being honest, because Devansh had his hook and his verse already ready, and he just sent me the song to listen to and provide feedback. But then I got too excited and said that I wanna hop on it, and that's how it came about. So yes, it's new for me as well, something I had never tried before, and yeah, took a lot of learnings from the track.
What advice would you give like aspiring rappers who are coming into the
I
industry?
I think you should stop asking this question, because I think whenever we've done a podcast, you've always asked this question, and I've always answered the same thing. So I don't want to do it again. It's already out there. Yeah, let's just skip this one.
What misconceptions do you think people have about rappers?
There could be many misconceptions, differs from person to person, and I don't think I'm at a place where I can really answer that question, because I don't know what other people might think. I'd be a fool to say that I know what the hip hop culture fully is. So I don't think I'm really at a place to answer the question.
Listening to Alone version 2, you can tell like the beat is really like something that is really cool and
Yeah.
some. What kind of inspired you like, and also what is the message that you would like to portray with Alone 2?
Before Alone Part 2, I had made this track called Alone in 2022. We dropped it in, I think, October of the same year, and Devansh had mixed and mastered it. And this year again in October, I was working on this project. Lyrics were sort of similar to Alone, and I couldn't pick a name for that song. And again, I was recording the song with my brother Devansh Rastogi, and then he got too excited. He wanted to hop on it, and that's how his sort of vocals in the hook came about. That's when we decided that let's name it Alone Part 2, because we did Alone together, and it's only right if we name this track Alone Part 2. So that's how that thing happened. And again, Higher and Alone Part 2 are two of those tracks where just universe have brought me and Devansh together, because it wouldn't have happened otherwise.
Who has been your biggest support throughout your journey, and how have they affected your impacted your music and confidence as an artist?
I think my inner circle has been my biggest support, because again, yeah, they're honest, right? If I let's say I put on a song for them to listen to, they're 100% honest. They'll tell me if it's bad. They won't think twice about it. They'll tell me if it's bad, they tell me if it's good, and it'll be completely honest and raw, and that's what I like to hear. Sometimes it can be painful as well, but sometimes that is what's needed.
What has been your inspiration towards your freestyle? And also, it's called like late night freestyle. So, what has been like your inspiration behind that?
Freestyle is the sort of the last resort for me, because whenever I forget towards the end of the month that I haven't dropped a song, that's when freestyle's there to rescue me, because I spend a lot of time in making a song, a lot of time in making sure the hook syncs with the verse, and making sure it tells a story. But sometimes I do forget to plan a song for a month, and that's when freestyle helps me, because on whenever I do a freestyle, I can be just I can be sort of free, right? There's really no other word to explain it. I can write whatever I want without having to tie it with some other line and generating a story out of it. So freestyle is always a last resort for me. Whenever I realize that I haven't planned a song for a month, that's when I do a freestyle, and I think I've only done three in 5 years. So yeah, that speaks volumes.
Tell us about like the connection between the listeners and your music.
I think for me, the quality of lyrics has always been paramount. Like that's the one thing I can never compromise on. I have compromised in mixing and mastering standards. I have compromised in production standards, but I have even compromised in recording vocals. But I've never compromised in the quality of my lyrics. And sometimes, yes, even when I try my best, it could be bad for people to listen to. But I always try to do the best I can when it comes to lyrics. I do not want to leave any stone unturned. And I think that's what my listeners appreciate as well. Because I remember in Suffer EP, I did this track called Devil, and it was really a different. It had a different theme, totally fresh, and something I had never tried before, and I didn't think many people would notice it. But I think if you still pull up the comment section, the only thing people have appreciated about that track is the lyrics. Lyrics has always been paramount for me, and I'll always continue to tell a story, to stitch every line with the next one, and yeah, making sure it all sings together and has a meaning behind it.
Can you share a moment in your life where music became a source of healing for you?
Many moments. I can't just pick one. It's really hard to pick one, because I think whenever I've felt sort of low, I I write a song, and I can't really, I don't count how many times I feel low, but yes, you can count the amount of songs I've put out. So I guess that answers your question: 70, 60 times, whatever. I think, yeah.
Looking back at your journey so far, what are the most important lessons that you have learned through making music?
Music has taught me two things most, I think, above everything else. And again, I'm going to say it for the gazillionth time: it's consistency and self expression. I think music has allowed me to be more expressive, and that's something I'm really grateful for, because earlier I was a bit more reserved, I'd say, but now I'm sort of this laid back, self-expressing guy, and I don't really care what people think about me, because I like to express myself. I don't fear what others might think of me, and it's liberating, to be honest. So yeah, I'm grateful for this change that music has brought into my life, and for making me realize the importance of consistency, because if it wasn't for consistency, I wouldn't be here sitting talking to you.
Maybe let's talk about the people in your life that have provided you like a safe space for you to express yourself. How do you think they influence your music?
Really, really, really good question, and I don't think I have an answer for it, because I think what influences my music is what I listen to, and what I feel in the moment when I sit down to write. I think those are the only two things that matter in my music. Sometimes what would happen is I would listen to a song and I would want to make a song similar to that song, and I would sit and write a song that sounds or has a similar meaning. But sometimes I would just sit down to write, and something would happen in the moment, or one line would lead to another. And yeah, I don't think there's any particular factor that influences my music. It's just what I feel in the moment, I guess.
If your life was a rap song, what would it be, and what will be the title and the hook?
You've given me, this is a MCQ, and you've given me about 70 options to choose from, because I've put out 70, and it's really hard to pick one that describes me. So
Yes.
it's
In your journey, the most praised possession that you have from your music?
and I remember my sister brought me this plaque of my EP for my birthday, and it's there on my wall, and that's that's one of my most prized possessions.
Let's talk about these latest releases with the Vanch. Um, have you found any unexpected source of inspiration when you are performing?
Think, again, it's just what you feel in the moment, right? It's that energy and that response that you feel, and I think that's what drives you as well. I remember when I was working on Alone Part 2 and Higher with Devansh Rastogi, again, he gave me a lot of suggestions. He told me a lot of different ways we could record the song, and I think that generates a lot more ideas, and that inspires you to do more and experiment more in upcoming projects. So yeah, I think that's one thing, to just be open to other ideas and other sources of inputs, and act on it. It's just about being open to suggestions and feedback.
What are your plans for the end of the year and new coming year for your listeners and
It's
people who want to
Yeah,
listen
it's
to
the
you?
same song every month. Been doing it since 2021. I've got to make sure it stays that way. I can't falter. Simply can't afford to, skip a month. So yeah, a song coming out in December, then January, February, you get the picture.